Mi, kumu, se aksero, hake, hiki, waraisa sodayo. Oh, hello my swordlings. I'm currently reading through all your comments that you left in the last video. And I gotta say, there are a bunch of good questions here. Dozo, welcome to the third Sephirothsword57 Q&A. So, let's start this Q&A immediately. Why you didn't read my question on the first Q&A? This is something I need to address. I usually pick questions that I have something interesting to say, because I just don't want to make a yes or no answer, because I don't think it's satisfying enough. Also, if the question was disrespectful, too personal, or just straight up mean, then I'm obviously not gonna answer it. Sephirothsword57, I really like to know, what do you consider the true villain of Final Fantasy VII? Definitely Sephiroth. I mean, he still is the last boss of the game. Quick, your house is being invaded by criminals. What do you use to defend yourself? A combination of taijutsu and genjutsu. I don't need to waste my katana on some low-life criminals. Is there at least one game not from the glorious Nippon, but from a European or American developer that you think is sugoi? Of course, there are games from Western developers that aren't complete baka. Like Enter the Gungeon, for example, which resembles a Sega Mega Drive game. But Japanese developers are just objectively more sugoi. There seems to be a lot of bad blood between you and Nintendo. At what moment did you realize Nintendo was no good? You might know about something called the Nintendo Partnership Program. It's pretty obvious that Nintendo saw my videos and thought that they could screw around with me. Before this whole mess, I didn't think ill of Nintendo, but I didn't like them. But they drew first blood, and then everything's changed. So that is pretty much how it started. Who is cooler, Sephiroth or Shadow the Hedgehog? This is a really hard question, but I think I'll have to go with Sephiroth. He is just slightly more better than Shadow.
Okay. Yo, what did you mean by that, Sephirothsword57?
It's okay, Shadow, you don't have to take it personally. I'm just seeing this from an objective view. Greetings, Seph-sama. In the earlier Q&A, you mentioned you practiced the deadly art of Bujikan Budo Taijutsu. Can you show us some of your skills? Arigato. Yes, I have been practicing a lot of martial arts, and I'm currently developing my own style by combining all the styles in the world. Just for you, my swordlings, I'm gonna show you some of the techniques from my own style. Dimension Cross Ryu Budo Taijutsu. Here you see the first technique. My opponent grabs my left wrist with his left hand. With style and precision, I grab his wrist with a circular motion and bring him down. Here you can see it in real time. Here you can see the same technique work against a Tanto-wielding opponent. This technique will work 100% against an opponent if you practice it hard enough in the dojo. Here you can see it in real time. Here you can see the first katana kata of the Dimension Cross Ryu Budo Taijutsu style. It's called Kiri Densetsu Kata. If you want to master the katana, you need to study these moves well. These movements combine both offense and defense, so you're basically blocking and attacking at the same time, making your opponent helpless no matter what weapon he wields. These will also be incorporated into the Sephirothsword57 game review series. So look forward to that, my swordlings. Who would win in a fight? Madara, Uchiha or Sephiroth? Well, if Sephiroth are in his final form, the one-winged angel, then he would definitely win. Do you think it would be bad or sugoi if Aerith could be saved in the remake of Final Fantasy VII as a branching path story? First off, it's Aerith, not Aerith. But that would be a really sugoi idea. It would also make the game better, even though it is the best game ever made. Can you teach us some Swedish pickup lines? Sure I can. These are the ones I usually use. God kväll min sköna. Skulle du vilja gå på en promenad i vårsolen och se sakuralöv falla till marken? Thoughts on the Yakuza games? Yakuza? I will definitely not play a game made by criminals. What do you think about Bethesda's Elder Scrolls and Fallout games? I have nothing to say about them, other than they are Western games. I've never played any of them. Hi, I'm a gay viewer and would like to know if your channel supports my rights. I support all of my swordlings. Thoughts on the game Gravity Rush? I love it, and the main character is super kawaii. I really look forward to the next game in the franchise. Thoughts on Berserk? I tried to read Berserk a while back, but it's way too crude for my tastes. What do you think of the GTA games? I don't support games that support school shootings. What is your favorite part of Yo-Yo's Bizarre Adventure? Moshi Moshi. Well, I think I need to answer this question because I've gotten this question a lot in this Q&A. Yes, I have watched Yo-Yo's Bizarre Adventure and it's just an okay show. The thing that bothers me the most is that they only explain these stand powers in the first episode and then they never build upon it anymore. There's a lot of typical shonen charm that is missing in this franchise, especially fighting segments, which was a real disappointment, and also battles are really short. The longest I've seen has only been 3 episodes, which is way too fast for an anime fight. And they also stole the concept from Persona, which I think was pretty uncreative and just stealing in my opinion. Least favorite anime? Easy, Cowboy Bebop. People always say it's a good show, but it is an anime targeted at a Western audience. Yeah, you can just figure it out for yourself why it's so bad. Who is your favorite character to cosplay as when you go to anime conventions? I don't cosplay. I usually only go as myself because I don't need to pretend to be anyone else. What does Moshi Moshi means? How do you learn so many Japanese words? Moshi Moshi means hello or goodbye in Japanese. And I learned most of my Japanese from watching animes. Are you a fan of the anime Full Metal Alchemist? If so, which series do you prefer? Brotherhood or the 2003 series? Full Metal Alchemist is really sugoi. You should watch both of them because they're equally as good. What do you do for a living? What are you talking about? This is it. This is what I do for a living. Do you have any tips or advice for an aspiring game designer? Play a lot of good games, Sonic and JRPGs. Learn about the game design. I think you would learn a lot from that. What are your thoughts on K-On? Please notice me, Sephiroth-senpai. It's okay, I've noticed you. Also, K-On is really good. There are some really kawaii girls in that show, and the music is pretty catchy as well. Could you beat Cloud in a fight? This is a really interesting question. I think the answer would be that I would win. And the reason for that is that I have exposure to all these franchises, including the Final Fantasy VII universe. So I got a lot of more inspiration and information to add to my fighting style. Well, Cloud only has the Final Fantasy VII universe under his belt. I really like Cloud, but I think the outcome is pretty obvious. Sephirothsword57, do you ever think that your massive fame will get to your head? I hate to see my favorite YouTuber become a villain. Don't worry about that. Seph-sama is here to continue to show you what real game design is all about. I'm an objective, honest reviewer, and I will always be. Don't worry. Will you notice me, Sensei-sama? I love you. I love you too, and all you other swordlings out there. Konnichiwa, Sephiroth-senpai. If it isn't too rude of me to ask, how many beautiful katana blades do you own? This is the only one I own, and it's the only one I need to defend myself against evil. Which is the better game, Dota 2 or LOL? They are both clickbait games, so I would throw both of those in the trash. Do you watch dubbed anime, subbed anime, or Japanese RAWs? I definitely don't watch dubbed anime, but I do watch subbed ones, and sometimes I watch RAWs just to learn some more Japanese. Have you eaten Mexican food? If so, do you like it? Yes, I do. I used to have Taco Fridays at my parents' place when I was younger. You clearly have an okay passion for anime and Japanese culture. Will there be more anime-themed videos in the future? The Sephirothsword57 show is an anime and video game review show. You will definitely see more of that in the future. If you could make a game, what would it be? A JRPG, of course. But I can't say any more than that at the moment. What are your favorite food and what is your favorite drink? Yakitori is my favorite food, and when it comes to drinks, I usually go to a Japanese place that serves sake. You're now awake in the world of the last video game you played. How do you do? Okay, so I would awake on Gaia, and first off, I would go to Gold Saucer, so I can play all the fun mini games there. I would also enter the Battle Square, where I could show off some of my fighting skills. I would then visit the Chocobo farm to see some Chocobo. And lastly, I would probably go and visit Midgar. Then I could teach those Shinra guys a lesson. I couldn't help but notice your figurines in the background, especially the Iori one. Mind showing off your collection in full? Well, as you can see, I have my figures right here on display. So I have the Iori one here, which I got a long time ago. I also have this Alucard figure I got from a friend a long time ago. And here is the Cloud figure I got. This is the Advent Children one, which is really cool looking. You can get a closer look right here. And last but not least, Sephiroth! This is also part of the Advent Children one, but he has the same clothes as he has in the original game. You can take a closer look here too. So those are my figures. You have a rather large and extensive video game collection. Where do you buy your video games? And what advice would you give to aspiring game collectors such as myself? I usually buy my games at GameStop. They also have second-hand games there, which is really nice if you want to find some hidden gems. Do you like SpongeBob? It's my favorite anime. I've seen a lot of comments where people are saying that Western shows are animes. This is not the case. Anime is an animation specifically from Japan, and it's usually targeted at an older audience, so it's a lot more sugoi than any Western stuff you can find. Sephiroth-senpai, what do you believe is the most underrated anime? No Game no Raifu is an excellent anime, which is really underrated. You should definitely go and check it out. How do you feel about Monster Hunter? Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter Freedom, Monster Hunter Freedom 2, and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Those are some really good games. Are there any rules a swordling must follow? Yes, of course. I will now present to you, my swordlings, the swordling code. Ichi, always be polite to a person with Japanese ancestry. Ni, study the Japanese language to prepare yourself for an encounter with a Japanese man. San, study Japanese culture to impress said Japanese man. Yon. To prepare yourself for any kind of ambush, you will practice Dimension Cross Ryubudo Taijutsu. Go. Always stay true to the Japanese Samurai Budo. Hey Sephirothsword57, I see you have a lot of Nihongo collections and hobbies, but do you have any other secret hobbies you'd like to share? P.S. Would you ever consider opening up a P.O. box for fans to send Super Sugoi wall scrolls? I've been actually thinking about opening a P.O. box, which is really sugoi because then I can show off some stuff that you swordlings have sent to me. I could make mail videos, which is really exciting. Seph-sama, what is your opinion on Danganronpa? It is a super sugoi anime. I really like it. Seph-sama, what is your favorite Japanese okashi? Parenthesis, snacks. I really enjoy some pocky once in a while. They taste really good. Can you tell more about your choices in fashion? Like the hat, tie and shirt. What inspires your style? Do you only wear it for videos, etc.? My style is inspired by anime and games. I always wear this stuff, not only in my videos, and I never leave home without my trusty fedora. Least favorite Final Fantasy? Well, this is a pretty easy question. I had the misfortune of stumbling upon a Game Boy game a long time ago. It was called Final Fantasy Adventure, and it was horrible. Don't play it. Glad to witness another milestone by you, Seph-senpai. My question is, what are your opinion on the Pokemon Go app that everyone is playing? You will learn all about that later, my swordlings. Anyway, my swordlings, that is the end of the Q&A. If I didn't answer your question, I probably had nothing to say about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you so much for watching, and look forward to the next episode of Sephirothsword57, because it will be out pretty soon. Anyway, stay tuned for that. So, I have to go and finish up the rest of the video. Have a good night, evening, morning, or day. Moshi mosh!